Hi, Hector. Thank you for being in the Bold Blueprint. Um, I'm really grateful that you're here. And one of the things that really call out to me when I listen to your podcast is because I saw a video, um, a preview of one of your episodes on TikTok, and I was like, I haven't seen that many people doing podcasts in Spanish. And since I'm Latino, it just like called out to me. And I started listening to your podcast. And I was wondering, because you call it the post workout, how did that idea of your podcast came to you?
First of all, Mary, I want to say thank you so much for the invitation. I really appreciate it. I was just telling you, off camera that I'm super proud of you that you're starting doing something different, and especially if it's something out of your comfort zone. Um, and from here, I want to say you're doing great. Keep it going. I know it's hard. I know it's ups and downs, but it is very rewarding for yourself.
Definitely is.
So let me answer you. So yes, I started the podcast as a Spanish speaking podcast, right? But my main thing is a feeling that you feel after working out. Like after before you work out, it's like, oh, you're just dragging yourself to the gym, so on and so forth. And suddenly after you work out, you feel like great. You feel like, okay, I can do so many stuff right now. And this was a feeling that I was trying to get into the podcast, and especially for the mental health. In the Spanish community, it's very taboo about it for you to talk about your mental health and then saying like, hey, I don't feel good, I don't feel okay, and trying to bring a safe space for other people to tell their story, because the main point for me is like for people to tell their story, for people to say like, hey, I had this problem and I felt alone, but then I'm not alone anymore, like to realize that the people that you interview, you have like as a guest, we all have problems and we all trying to you know get to it, like, you're not alone. That's my main message. And some people like I always say, like, everyone, for example, everyone knows Taylor Swift, right? Everyone knows like the artist, the big pop star, but no one knows Taylor Swift per se, like the main person, like the person itself. So that's what I'm trying to, bring to the light and for people to speak about it.
Like the intimacy of having somebody you can talk to about anything and everything, and having that possibility of putting hard things in words.
Correct.
Um, so you are a multi-layer man.
Oh
You
yeah, I
have
do
a
everything.
podcast. You also have a coaching. You have a media company. How all that came out together?
It's really funny that you said like, first of all, I'm immigrant. As you guys can see, it's well, English is my second language, and I came to the U.S. 80 years ago, and I'm a civil engineer. Like that's my college degree, and I was born and raised a civil engineer. All my family is civil engineering or something with construction. And then after so many years doing it, 9 months ago, my wife and I, we used to say like, oh, we're gonna have a baby, like I'm pregnant, and so on and so forth. And from that moment on, that life changed for me. Like I was trying to make content for the past 2 years. Well, I wasn't trying to make content. I started making content 2 years ago. Like I started with Twitch, doing video games, so on and so forth. And then I realized that I was uh, already by that point 31 years old. And when you get older, you will feel that every time you go to bed at 5 a.m., you just feel like start hurting a lot. And then I say like, you know what, I think I can do something more. And then I started the podcast, and then from that podcast, I started doing my motivational coaching stuff. And 6 months ago I opened my media company. because I was doing it for so long that I say like, "Oh, you know what? I think I can help other people to do it too." You know, same for the business, same for the personal brand, so on and so forth. Because, like I was telling you before, that I screwed up so many times that I already know what can work and what doesn't work.
I just want to say congratulations on
Thank you.
baby because I know it's a big life changing thing that happens and it just like it's the most beautiful thing that can happen to you, but it's also the most uprooting thing that can happen to you. Like your whole life is going to change or how it's going. And also congratulations on your media company and you following something that calls out to you. I think that the universe has been telling me this for years. Last year, I lost my job, and this year, I lost my job. And I just take it as something that the universe is telling me is like, I told you last year, you didn't listen to me. So I'm going to repeat it to you so you can learn from this. And at the same time, I was working on the podcast, and it kind of like gave me this time that I didn't expect to have, and I'm here getting to interview people like you and other people around me. And doing this fully as giving me, as you say, this love and passion and also just that spark. I think that when you work in, because props to you, civil engineer. I work in construction. I completely understand. It's
Thank you.
your brain at the end of the day is overwhelmed. You just want to disconnect a plug and just like be like, I'm done. Don't talk to me. I do not exist. But it's a lot. And just finding something that actually sparks, like you can see it in your eyes. It's just that fire that gets like lit up in you.
Yes, 100%. I agree with you that, but I think before starting doing all this, I used to feel like that overwhelmed after work. I'm like, please don't talk to me. I already had enough of the day. I already been the computer for the last 10 hours, just designing and so on and so forth. But then you just said something that you've started to find meaning in what you're doing when you do something different. And for me, I work 10-hour days, and then after work, I start recording clients, or going to calls or whatever, just finding more clients, just finding more strategies, whatever. And I feel alive doing it, you know even though I'm tired. Like, I'm sometimes I go to bed like 12 p.m., just exhausted, but I feel alive. I feel like it's meaningful for me. It's meaningful for the people around me, that I can do something else. I can bring, more money, even though my wife is not working right now. Well, at this point that we're recording this, my wife is 38 weeks pregnant. So it's like in any point, and in any moment, I'm sorry. So I think, the way that I see it now is, pressure is a privilege. Like, for you to be overwhelmed for the things that you wanted before, for the things like, oh man, I want to have my own business. I want to do something different. I want to do something meaningful. And I said this before in other episodes, that sometimes I don't want to record anything. Sometimes, it's fine not to feel okay. That's okay. And sometimes you feel like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to record today. I don't want to do anything. And then suddenly you just turn on the camera and you start recording. You start talking to people, and you're just like, I love this. I really like to doing this. I feel alive doing something meaningful, something different for me.
It's getting that spark back. That's how I felt. I am a self-taught construction project manager, if you will. I
Hmm.
started in the lumber yard and just learning, and I just like always wanted to learn. That was like my main thing because I never finished college, and so I just pushed myself to that. And now I am a project manager. I can come into your project and help you run it. And I think that in various positions I just felt that I was stuck. I wasn't seeing the growth and the learning opportunity because people were just taking me for granted at what I was good at. And so for a lot of the time pulling 10-hour days and just going home and being like completely exhausted and not having something that was completely mine to find passion in, I think that was like the switch. And like, I am so grateful that I'm able to be exhausted in the most overwhelming sense of this is beautiful. I love it. I love running
I agree.
around and having conversations that fills you up. You get out of it and you're like, oh my God, I cannot even imagine that I had that conversation. I never thought I had. And I think that that's when things change for me. It's because I had this thing that I feel that other people were feeling like me or had gone through something similar that I went through, but I couldn't find it somewhere. And when I started listening to podcasts, that's where I found it. I was like, oh, so I'm not alone. Oh, I feel this too. They're having this type of conversation. This exists. And that started to happening. And I was like, oh, maybe sharing my story could help somebody else. Maybe I could bring other people that felt like me and finding your spark back. I'm a writer. And it's when you're writing for yourself, it is very lonely because you're not sharing it with the world. But having a conversation with other people and decided to share that conversation becomes very public. And
Hmm.
so you feel like, and I always say this, if I can help one person that was feeling the same way I was feeling, I did what I needed to do. I'm good.
Exactly, exactly. I'm on the same boat. I see people are like, "Hey, but only 10 people saw you," and I'm like, at least one. If I can help at least one person that listened to the podcast, it's like, "Oh, I had that same issue, and I can overcome it because of you, or your videos, or your motivational videos, or whatever." That's the meaningful part. Like, so my purpose is to help people. And I love helping people. Like, sometimes you feel lonely, like, because you say, like, okay, I help everyone, but who helps me? But then you start to realize that you help yourself helping others.
You are very focused on mindset and mental health. Do you think that's something that came from your parents and how you grew up? Or is that something that you built?
I think, when you get, when you grow in a Hispanic culture, in Venezuela, it's a very, men don't cry, men don't have problems. If you feel sad, just go for a walk, those kind of things. And, you know, it is really hard when you feel like that and you cannot talk to anyone. And, when you go to the shrink and you're crazy, you just know because you have a problem, it's because you're crazy. And, after you have to, like, after you move countries at 23, 24 years old, your life, everything around you changes. And then you have to, get stronger, a lot stronger. And it's something that you started to build yourself. And, you know, you've been to dark places, you've been into the hole, you've been, into the storm. And now you start to feel like, oh, everything happens for a reason. So I would like to say that I built it, because of experience, good or bad. But also, my mom is the kind of person who's like, I call it a 4x4 woman, like off road woman. She will fix everything. She will, if he doesn't know anything, she will find out how to fix it. And maybe that's why I'm this way. Like, you don't have a problem, you have an obstacle that you can overcome.
That is very powerful. And I feel the same way. Like my family is French and Ecuadorian. So part of my life I
Oh, we're
did grew
almost
up
there.
in Ecuador. Yeah. And I do have that perspective. I think a lot of people in my family are very like different in that way. They always say like you can look for help, and mostly the women I think that
Hmm.
have always show that part to me, but I know a lot of them, they don't see the issue, and there is never an issue and you don't have to talk about it. And I think as I grow older, I saw that because I did went to therapy very young. And also I think that when you realize that you don't have to carry everybody else's like rocks on you, it becomes easier to find who you are and how you deal with stuff. And also your mental health becomes like a priority for you. And you realize that everybody else's vision of your mental health is completely different. And you find your way into the best
100%.
direction of how to handle things. And then because you come from a Latino household, things are a little, the vision of how you heal yourself.
Especially when you're a guy, like you just mentioned it, like, as a woman, there was no problems with that, right? Like, if you need help, you go for it. If you're a dude in a Hispanic culture, in the Latino culture, it's like, hey, brother, suit yourself, figure it out.
Yeah. No, I can't imagine how hard that was. Um, Talking about childhood, so you grew up in Venezuela. How was growing up in Venezuela with your parents at that time?
I think like I said, I come from my background, or my family's old construction, and well, we have this, you know mentality of, fix stuff. I'm a fixer. That's how I call myself. If you have a problem, I'm already finding a solution in my brain. I think that's why my media company is going great, because some people don't know what they're doing. I'm like, you don't have to. That's my job. The, whatever problem you have, I will figure it out. That's how my brain works. And in Venezuela, was when I was growing up, it was kind of difficult because you come from a family who has everything, and then suddenly the political situation, the economic situation in the country, goes terrible, and you start losing stuff. And then when I started college, when I was like 17, I think, I had so many dreams, and by the time I graduated, there was no country for me to stay with. Like, I still have the same dreams, but I cannot do it here. And when I was 19, 20 years old, I got involved in an accident in Venezuela, that some guys was trying to rob my car, and they shot at me, like, I don't know, like 5 shots. And one of the bullets hit the car and hit me right in the middle of the back. And the bullet goes right to my right lung and perforates, I think is the word, and perforates the something there, and it stays like between two ribs. So by the time I get to the hospital, I'm like bleeding out, breathing blood. And that was one of my canonic events, I like to call it. Like, that was one of my canonic events, because I was like 19 years old on March 17, 2013, and my birthday is March 18th. So I sang happy birthday in the hospital, and it was a very powerful moment to realize that, okay, you need to change so many stuff, and you need to take care of yourself, because you're not immortal. And you need to realize how fragile the human body and the human mind is, because after that I got PTSD. I got um anxiety. I got these kind of things, like when you hear something loud, or like a motorcycle right next to you or something like that. I got, like, panic attacks. And that was 13 years ago. Yes, 13 years ago. And sometimes when I had nightmares, I still have nightmares, and it gets me back to that moment. Like, all my nightmares are about that. Like, it's just something very impressive how my body remembers that. And even though I still have the bullet on my right rib, um, it's something that you can't forget. Like you take off your shirt, you still have the same scars in the back, the same scars on the ribs. And that was my inflection point for me. Like, I cannot live here. I need to do something else. Um, my childhood was great until that point. Before 19 years old, before that day, everything was normal, relative normal. And then, you know, life happens.
That is
Crazy,
outrageous.
I know.
It's but, like, I'm very sorry that happened to you, and unfortunately, it's a very common thing that happens in Latin America. I mean, people get, what is it, secuestrados,
Yeah,
just
you get
going out,
kidnapped. Mhm.
going to party. I know that happened to one of my cousins. He went out and they bit him up and they throw him on the side of the street. My aunt, when she was pregnant, that happened to her. And those are traumatic events. But in our society, mostly you're supposed to get over it.
Yeah, that's
It
correct.
happens, it's normal, it's something that it's on the street, and most people are like, you just need to get over it. It's done. Like, there is nothing else you can do about it. How did you deal with that? Because having PTSD, having anxiety creates that sense of like lost in yourself. Like, you don't know who you are anymore because it creates just, I mean, I don't know how it was for you, but if I find that might have created a void in yourself that you're
Mhm.
not the person you were before and
Oh, 100%.
dealing with this. So how do you get to the other side of that?
I mean, 100%, you're not the same person that you were a year ago. That's for sure. And especially after such a traumatic event, how I deal with that, just I ask for help. That's why I always say to people, like, ask for help. It's okay to ask for help. I know it's really hard because we're men. We don't cry. We don't supposed to express feelings or whatever. But it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to say, like, hey brother, I'm not okay. Can you please listen to me? Like, I just need you to listen to me. I just need to get this off of my chest. And it's really hard, like, when you realize how broken you are. Because like you said, it leaves a void in you that you're not the same person that you were before. The innocence, get lost. And then you just try to survive. You start to live in survival mode, basically. Even though when I moved here 8 years ago, the first year or so, I was so scared to go out at night, and especially alone, because when I moved, I was basically alone. My family is all my mom, my dad, everyone's in Venezuela, and it was really hard because you cannot go back. And you see yourself in a room by yourself at 3 in the morning, just thinking, what are you doing? You know, what is going on? How are you gonna fix this? How are you gonna fix yourself? How are you gonna get out of that dark place that you put yourself in? And and it's really hard when you don't see a light, but trust me, there is one. There is one. And the best way to overcome fear is moving forward. I know it's very cliche, but if you can see one step in front of you, you just keep walking, then you will see the light. Then you will find somebody that will see you as you are, and you don't have to pretend to be somebody else. And if someone loves you for who you are, how broken you can be, I think that's the best way you can be with another human being. Because again, PTSD, nightmares, waking up, sweating, those, like the movies, literally like the movies. And it is really hard. But I mean, 13 years later, I can say, the story. I can tell the story. I can say why it happened. All of this stuff, and you know, it's really hard to realize how lucky I was, because the bullet went right in front to like right in the middle of my back. I remember the doctors telling me that, hey, you're supposed to be dead or in a wheelchair. You shouldn't be here. So one of those things just changed my life forever. Like my brain just, I don't, maybe I missed the person that I was 14 years ago, but I like to say it. I'm proud of the person that I am right now, because I was able to overcome and still overcoming stuff.
It never really lives you. It lives with you, and
Correct.
you are you're not a different person. You are a different version of yourself with what happened to you.
Hmm.
And that's an incredible story. And I am very thankful for you to share that, because I know it takes a lot of courage and it takes a lot of time to be able to not have that, I call it the ball, that stays in between your throat and like tries to keep
Yeah.
everything down, and you get chucked up and you feel like you're never going to be able to say the words. And I think like the first time I felt relief is when I didn't feel it there. And I was like, I'm good. I'm safe. I
Yes.
I am able to do this. So is that the period that you took care of your mental health? Is that how you got into working out? Is working out one of the outlets that help you to got out of that state in a sense, or
Yes.
manage it, I will say, because I think it's more like, how do you decide to take care of yourself and manage the anxiety and the overthinking and the pain, because
I
darkness
think,
is.
yeah, yeah. 100% what you're saying. I think the cure for anxiety is action. If you stay, static in one place, is your brain is the only thing that's functioning, and your brain is the only thing that can, build you up or destroy you. So in my case, was like I rather do something. I rather do something for myself. I don't want to be alone. I don't. I don't want to be static in my room. I don't want to be alone. I just need to do something else. I just need to do something else. And I went to the gym once, and it's like, okay, I like how it felt. I was super sore, but not, you know what? Keep going, keep going, keep going. And sometimes when I don't, I mean, several years later, I see myself like I was telling my wife today, like, oh, I feel terrible. I haven't even been able to go to the gym for the past week. And she said, it's okay. You will, get back to your horse. But yeah, at the beginning, you will feel sluggish. You will feel groggy, like, oh my God, I need to go to the gym or whatever. Like, just go and do it. And at least 5 minutes, and then 10, and then 15, and then 20. And then suddenly you will realize you will be there for 60 to 75 minutes. And it will be, you will convert that to your time. It's going to be your time. This is my time to think, my time to process, my time to feel. So the gym for me was like, the way that helped me was like, I'm a very lonely wolf at the gym, or I don't work out with, group of classes or so on and so forth. I just put my headphones and just like, go to, I listen to other podcasts and listen to motivational videos on YouTube that can get me going. like, to be honest with you, it, I think that's the best way to overcome something, Marie, is just do it, like, move. If the animal who doesn't move dies, that's a reality of things, sadly. Like, you don't have to stay static, you need to be more dynamic, engineering talking. And you will feel alive. That's the problem. Like, when you stop moving, you don't feel like you're doing anything. You will feel like, oh my God, I'm just wasting my time, wasting my life, so on and so forth. But then you just go outside. Like, it sounds very simple, it sounds very cliche, but it's just go outside and just start feeling the grass on your feet, or feel the breeze. Just inhale, exhale, and you starting to realize the beautiful things that you have around you. Like, thank you, God, or Allah, or Buddha, or whatever you guys think or believe. Oh, for giving me this, for giving me the opportunity to be stronger, to be wiser. For me, because I have a job. Thank you for giving me a job. Thank you for letting me out of that job. It was terrible. That was a push that I was needing for me to pursue other things. Thank you, God, or whatever. Thank you. When you switch your brain, Marie, to complain, to why me, when you switch it to, oh, because of this, I can do this. And you start to be more grateful with the things that you've been doing and the things that you can do or overcome. Everything around you, I don't know how it works. That's very psychological stuff, but everything around you start changing because you start changing something in yourself.
Do you feel like was it therapy that changed your mindset, or was it you putting yourself in a new environment and deciding to change your vision of how things were in your life? Or I don't know, was it religion or faith in yourself? What was the thing that made your mindset change? Because sometimes we, in our own head, I know that sometimes we just play victim with ourselves. It's like,
Hmm.
that happened to me. I cannot believe that this is what I'm going through. And then you have that mind switch. Like, you listen to a podcast and somebody's having this talk, and you're like, I'd never thought it of that way. Or you go to church, or you go whenever, and you hear somebody, and that's when you have that mind switch and you start seeing things differently. So how did you have that mind switch in yourself? Like, yes, that happened to me, but I'm not going to let it rule myself.
You just said it. There, have you seen? There's a show named Hannibal, I think, and one of the things that one guy tells to the other, like, I hope your therapy works. And he literally answers, therapy only works when you have the amazing desire to know yourself as you are, not as you would, not as you wish you are. And so you can, I hear so many people say, like, oh, therapy doesn't work. And ask why. I went to therapy twice and it didn't help me. Okay. You really wanted it to help you, or you just went to say that doesn't help, to demonstrate that doesn't help? Because that's the thing. People think therapy is magic, right? And even though I'm not a therapist, even though I'm not a psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever, um, I just got a certification for motivational coaching, civil engineering, multi stuff. But I'm always, an advocate for it, mental health and mental health awareness. And when people tell me, like, how therapy doesn't work, and like, are you willing to know yourself as you really are? Because you're not this person. Are you willing to talk about your traumas? Are you willing to talk about what hurts? Are you willing to be vulnerable? If you're willing to be vulnerable and reborn, then the therapy will work. And I think something that made the switch in me was when somebody told me, one of my several therapists that I had over the last 14 years was like, I'm not going to solve your life. I'm going to give you tools to solve your life, to solve some problems. Before you used to say, oh, I feel kind of sad. Now you know why you feel sad. And now you know how you going to fix that, or why I feel like this. Okay. You start to, you know, enumerate things like, okay, I feel because of this, this, and that. And then you start saying, like, oh, I can change this. I know I can twitch this. I can twitch the other thing. And then, oh, I feel better. Oh, I should go do this. I should go do that. And I think that was my switch. And listening to podcasts, like you were saying, like listen to podcasts. I listened a lot of, you know, personal development stuff, motivational stuff. Even though it helps me with my content, it helps me to be better every day. And I think when you realize that, therapy or a podcast or whatever, nothing is magic. Nothing will work until you want it to work. If you feel like, okay, I can do this. Something that Marie said in the podcast, she recommended to do this because that helped her. Okay, let me try. Let me try because I want to see how it feels. If it works, great. If it doesn't work, great too. You just need to keep, looking for something that will help you. But you just need to really look. Don't be like, oh, that doesn't help. That doesn't work. But why? Well, because I say so. You know, skepticism, I think is the word for that. Like, if you have healthy skepticism, that's fine because you're trying to prove yourself that something might or might not work. But if you're the kind of person like, oh, that doesn't work because that doesn't work for me. Okay. Were you able to be vulnerable? No. Okay. I, I don't know what to tell you. That's it is what it is.
I definitely will die on the hill of like therapy will help you, but you have to do the work. And I think a lot of people give up really easily because they just don't click with their therapist. And that had happened to me that I had terrible therapists until I found the one. And to this day, she's still my therapist. And
Yeah.
I will always go to her until she decides she doesn't want to do this. But I think it's also you have to be willing to open the book of who you are and let somebody else see you. Because when you're afraid of other people seeing you for who you are and what's inside, you're never going to do the work. And therapy is that one thing I will always say. And I know that there is a lot of people that are skeptic about that. Therapy is a game of you deciding to put all your cards on the table and being able to listen to other people tell you what's on the cards. You just have to be willing to play the game. And unfortunately, till this day, I know a lot of people that are skeptics about that, but I will die on that hill. Therapy
I agree.
is one of the best things that ever happened to me. So would not be here without it.
And and it's really hard because you start to say like these people who's skeptic about it and they will be very judgmental. You're like, oh, why you went to therapy? You're crazy. And like, dude, we're 33 years old. Just move on. You can, you know, don't be a dick about it. You just
I think that that's the fact is like you want to be emotionally available to other people, but you're not even to be emotional available to your own self. So how does that work? And I think that therapy just
Mm,
opened that. And it's like if you can be honest with yourself, because it's also honesty. It's like learning all the things that can trigger you and you understand how you are, you're able to be open to other people too.
100%. And you just said it. If you're not honest with yourself, how you can be honest with someone else?
Definitely. That is one of the things that people just look at you and you're like, what are you talking about? No, no, just go to therapy.
Mhm.
You'll understand."
Mhm. Exactly. Like, hey, bro, you should go to therapy. Sometimes people say like we believe or we think we're above someone else because we went to therapy, and like it's not like that. I feel like I always say like somebody needs to go to therapy to know themselves at least twice in their lifetime, for them to realize they don't know everything, and to realize that you can always improve
And
to
also,
yourself and to the
it's
people around you.
an outside perspective. If somebody that my therapist knows me because we've been together for like so many years, but also this is an outside person, doesn't have the feelings of your family, your friends, whoever knows you as you every day. So it will give you complete honesty on whatever you're telling them. If that's what you're looking for in a therapist, it will just like make you think about what's going on in your life and be like, maybe not, maybe yes. And make you play out those scenarios with yourself and make you realize things that you never thought about before.
Of course, again, give you tools for you to fix it.
Exactly. So you are going to be a dad in a couple weeks, maybe days,
Hopefully,
maybe hours.
maybe today. Yeah, we don't know yet. Yeah,
With you into parenthood that you have learned from your parents, but also for your life experience and from how you handled the things that happened to you.
truth is a very good question because I'm nervous. I'm nervous as shit. I'm sorry for the bad word. But I feel very nervous because you don't know how you're gonna do it. Because you like, oh, I don't know how to change a diaper, basic things like that. But again, my brain is just figure it out, brother. It's not the end of the world. It's not rocket science. Somebody else did it. You can do it too. Um, but you still like I'm being very sensitive lately. Like like this pregnancy stuff with my wife. I just like I don't know her hormones are my hormones, and like I cry for everything. I'm a very sensitive person. Like I'm very connected with my feelings. I've already cried several times in my podcast, and but lately I just feel like there's a this little guy who has my name because I put that name right, and I need to do it as better as possible. My parents did the same with me. Like they didn't know anything. They just did what they thought was right. And something that I read a few days ago was like the only person that wants you to be better than them is your parents. There's no other person that wants you to be better than them. There's no other person like, okay, I want you to go well, but not better than me. That's the majority of people around you, sadly. But then your parents are the only ones who say like, oh, I want you to do better because I know you can be better because you can be better than me. And for my kid who hasn't even born yet, I'm already imagining with him, going 4x4, off roading, or go to the beach. Those kind of plans that I have in my brain. But also at the same time, it's just like how I'm gonna do it. How can I avoid him to have this same problem as me? But even though I talked to a doctor several months ago, the podcast, it was like, so most of the people, when they're parents, they say like, I don't want you to suffer the same thing that I suffered, or I don't want you to have the same bad experience that I had. Yeah, of course, you don't want somebody to get shot or anything like that. But then you realize all these things that I already lived makes me the person that I am right now. Are you willing to do the same? Are you willing to put your son or your daughter through that to be better than you? You know, or the way I say it is like he can be better than me without going through all that. He can be better than me doing everything that I couldn't do. It can be better than me, you know, just being fine with a normal family. You know, no separated parents, just living your life, a normal life. I think, I mean, today that we're recording this, June 6th, 2026, I'm saying this, maybe I will say something different in the next 5 years. I don't know. People change. I think that's the only constant in life is change. So at the moment, Maria, to be 100% honest with you, I'm scared as shit. I'm super nervous. And, I will just take it one day at a time. And I already have like so many ideas for videos, photos and all the stuff that I want to make with him. But, you get very anxious about.
I can't imagine. I mean, it's, I always say, and I went through that a couple years ago, is like, I want to be the mother I look up to.
Hmm.
Because I think, like, I saw this phrase on the internet the other day, is like, when people say to your kids, is like, you're like your mother or you're like your father, do you want that to be a compliment or an insult?
Mm,
And I was
such a
like,
great one.
oh my God. Yeah. And it was like, we went to something similar with my partner, unfortunately. I was hit with infertility at the time. And one of the things I told my mom at the time, I was like, I want to be the woman I look up to, and I want to be the mother I look up to. So I'm able to be the most present person and available person for them when they are here.
Hmm.
So I can give them the tools they need, and I don't have to figure life for them, but they can always come back to me and ask me, hey, can you help me with this? Or how did you deal with it? So
Hmm.
I can figure out how to deal with it.
100%.
That
100%.
is,
Yeah.
so that is awesome that you're just taking it like, I'm going to figure it out. Because I think that parenthood is also that. As like, if you're a present parent, you also did 90% of the work.
Hmm.
And if you are a parent that takes care of their mental health, you're even that 10% more. You just have to figure out what's how you decide to show up for them.
I agree. And you just said it like, and this is something I told my wife, I cannot give a broken person to my kid. That's the reality of things. I cannot give him, uh, I don't know. It's not my case. Just letting you know, but I can imagine other people saying like, "Oh, I cannot give my son an alcoholic person. I cannot give my son a drug abuse, so on and so forth." I think if you can stop being selfish with yourself and start putting in priority your kids. I think that's the best way for you to improve as a person. Stop being selfish and start being better for a person who wants to look up to you.
Definitely. And I'm sure your wife appreciates that too, because if you're there for
Amen.
her and if you're showing up for both of them, that's all she can ask for.
Amen. That's what I told her. Like, you complain about me, but I do a lot of stuff.
As women, we want to be seen, heard, and understand. And it's a tricky, manageable thing. And mostly when you're pregnant and your hormones are like out the roof, I just say in the next few months, you're just going to have to cook your way out of this. That will
No,
be the best
yeah.
way.
And especially if you're a fixer, it's really hard because you can't fix it.
No, you can't.
You just need to say, I'm
Presence will
sorry.
be your
Hmm.
best friend.
Yep, I'm sorry that you're going through. Can I help you with a massage? Those kind of things. But after that, you're just like,
There is
you
nothing you can do.
literally, yeah.
I've heard that phrase and I use that with my friends when they tell me a problem. Is like, do you want me to fix it, give you
Hmm.
advice, or
You want
support?
me to listen to you? Yeah.
what do you need from me? And I think that that is the best way for you to show up. I
Yep,
mean, it's just being present and ask them what they need.
100%. I 100% agree with you.
So, what's next for you as you grow? Because congratulations, 88, 87 episodes of your podcast.
Yes, 80. Well, tomorrow is gonna be 84. So tomorrow's gonna be
So, you're going
84.
on 100, which
Yes.
is amazing.
Thank you.
You're going almost in 2 years because you
Yes,
launch in 2024.
correct.
And your media company is getting a lot of traction.
Yes.
So,
So what's the next for me? Marie, first of all, I will wait for you on the 100 episodes. So I am expecting you to be there 100%. I know you will get there. And I love your attitude. I love your energy. And I'm really positive that you will get there. Um, it takes time, obviously, especially if you do it once a week. Um, but it's really nice to see your growth. It's really nice to see your first episode and then your 50th episode, then your 80 episode. You're like, damn, some I changed. You know, and not just the quality of it. It's just I change as a person. I change with my questions. I change with everything. My guests are asking me like, "Hey, can I go back?" You know, those kind of things. You feel good about it. Yeah, I always say like if your old content gives you cringe, it's because you're improving yourself. It's because you're doing something different, something better. For my media company, I really, really, really hope, and I'm just gonna say it out loud, knock on wood. Um, I just want my main goal is to make $20,000 a month, and that will help me to support my family and make my wife to stay at home with my kid. That's something that's my main goal, to be honest with you. Like that my kid can grow with his mom, you know, super present. I'm going to be at home working, but I'm going to be there. You know, that's my main goal. And I don't want to need to go to an office and figure something else for other people, not to myself. And that's what I don't know how long it's going to take. But, you know, as an engineer, just starting projecting yourself, it was like I said, I'm not going to jinx it. Fuck it. Knock on wood again. By the end of this year, gonna be making 15 to $20,000 a month, hopefully. And that's my main goal. That I can start making motivational coaching online sessions, you know, so on and so forth. Um, Brand deals, whatever it takes. That's what I. That's how I project myself to do it.
that is awesome. I love that for you and here to support you
Thank you.
because I think that mostly for Spanish speaking podcaster and for people that come from an immigrant background, we sometimes are harder on ourselves
Oof.
because the our standards are very
Hmm.
different. I know my dad came here and worked his ass off, and he loves to remind me, and I love to hear it, that he started working for $5 in the sun in Houston, Texas, washing cars.
Your dad and I the same. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, 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 no.
One time, like a few days ago, I was able to get a new car. And for us, like for Hispanic people, just like super, you know, big thing. For people in America, just like, oh, another car. That's fine. Um, and I remember that there was a sticker of this car wash company, and one friend who get into the vehicle said like, "Why you don't take off this?" And I said, Because it remembers me where I come from." And he said like, "Why?" Because I used to work in that car wash. I used to be the person who cleaned the cars for you to take it out of the dealership.
Oh.
I used to be that person.
It's like a full circle moment. You're
Mhm.
like, "That's what I started, and that's where I am." And this
Mhm.
is like that's how long it took me, but it reminds me where I am and how grateful I am for everything.
100%. Yes. I see that sticker every day that I get into my vehicle, and it's like, I used to be there.
That
Maybe
is I think that that's also and I think about the girl that moved here and didn't know what she wanted to do. And I always say, like, I didn't like construction. I work in restaurants and um I I it was just what I learned not to do because I was fast. I speak three languages. My dad taught me English. That's how I learned English. He was sitting me when I came to visit him the first time. I was sitting in a chair in his office. He gave me a dictionary and he had a whiteboard in his office. And 2 hours a day, every day, I was studying the dictionary. I could not speak Spanish at home because my stepmom didn't speak Spanish. But my dad was like, "This is the way you learn." And that's how I learned to speak English. And everybody's like, "You have a great accent." I'm like,
that's your canonic event.
Let me take you back."
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
I am
le
very grateful for him because that's one of the resilience things that he taught me is like if you really want something, you're capable of doing it. And
100%. And you just mentioned something. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
no, no, no.
And when you're a kid, you have these events in your life that you always remember, that you will always remember, even though they're happiest or the saddest, you will always remember. But I remember that my mom used to speak English, and she was the one who was translating a lot of video games for me. And my first video game was The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. And it was the best game ever. It was my first Nintendo 64 game. And one time I asked my mom, "Mom, can you please translate this?" And it was a bad day for her. And she just said, literally in Spanish, she said, "Traduce tú tu mierda," which means translate your own shit, basically. And then after that, just started with the dictionary, like, oh, this means that, so on and so forth. And I was like, I don't know, 6, 7 years old.
I think it's like I grew up in a Spanish and French household. My mom was French, but we were living in Ecuador at the time, so I went to French school, but everybody around me speaks Spanish. So I was always speaking Spanish. When we moved, I did speak French, but it wasn't like my first language. It wasn't like the language that I would speak all the time other than at school. So I had a hard time like getting the language and my dad added English on top of it. So like now I'm like 30 and my brain is just like the switches. Like sometimes my brain just glitches and I'm like, I'll just say it in whatever language it comes out to.
And it
If
happens. It happens.
and if you understand, great. If you don't, I'm sorry. And I just like make words. And my partner, he's like, what are you saying? I was like, you get it. It's been
You
so
will
long
get it.
that
No
you
worries.
just
Yeah,
get
you
it.
will get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, you will get it.
But
No worries.
I wanted to ask you because I've been trying to have these two questions at the end. It's like, if you could go back to either younger you, either 18-year-old you, and tell him one thing, like go back to younger Hector and tell him one thing that will actually feels like you're giving him like that advice that he needed at the time, like that one thing he needed to hear.
People ask me sometimes if I would do the things differently. And it's really hard to answer because you said like, okay, I'm thankful for everything that happened, but I don't want to go through it again. Like it's really, really painful. It's really painful to get shot. It's really painful to say goodbye to your family. It's really painful to the uncertainty that you don't know when you're gonna see them again. You know, it is really painful. Like I'm not gonna say it's easy. It's not. It's really painful, especially when you're so connected with your family. Hispanic culture, we are all together all the time, and suddenly we just lost all that. Um, for example, for the situation in Venezuela, all my friends are out. Like everyone got married without any friend in their wedding. Those kind of things are just like so hurtful. Like my best friend got married. I couldn't go to the wedding. He couldn't go to mine. For my wedding, it was so surreal that it was myself, just me, and the whole family for my wife, mom, dad, grandma, uncles, everything. And it was just me. And we lost all that. We, and there's nothing we can do. And sadly, there's nothing I can do in the past that might change that. Because even though if I tell Hector of 17 years old, everything will be okay, trust me, you're gonna suffer. You're gonna fucking suffer. You're gonna cry. You're gonna feel alone. You're gonna get shot. You're gonna lose your 7 years relationship. You're gonna lose everything. But then you will reborn. And after so many years of washing cars, being a waiter, um, having nothing to eat, sleepless nights, and all that stuff, everything will go well. Just trust the process, trust yourself, and everything will be worth it. Not just for you, it will be just for the people that you love and the people who surround you. That's one of the things I would say. Even though it's really painful, just start to think there's nothing I wouldn't do for me not to lose everything at that point, at that time. But the reality of things is, it doesn't matter what. There's no way that I could change the destiny of my country. That's the reality of things.
Very painful to think back of that. And I applaud your strength for that
Thank you.
because I know how hard it is to be away from your family and not being able to share important moments of your life with them and not being able to see them and also be present for them. So, thank you for sharing that because I know it's hard and I know that you're not only doing it for you, but you're also doing it for your family.
That is correct. 100%. As you started doing it for your family, you move out, and you can't go back because you said, I can do so much more here for them than for me going back. So you start just holding on together for them.
I wanted to ask you also, what would be one quote or phrase or something that just comes to mind that has helped you get through the hard days or the sunny days? Just one
I
thing that
have
comes to you.
I have two. Can I say
Yeah,
two?
yeah.
Okay.
Please.
Um, the first one is, the magic you're looking for is in the work you're avoiding. Um, that's really helpful for me when you just like want to lay down and you just need to do the work. You cannot complain for something that you didn't do anything for it. And the second one that's been helping me since forever, because like I was, first circle, when I said that one of my purpose is to help somebody else, somebody who needs it, is be the love you never receive. And it's very powerful for me because I know what it is to be alone. I know what it is not to have anyone. I know what it is to start a podcast from zero. I know what it is to not to know how to edit. I know to know like everything. And I something that listened a few years ago was like heroes and villains have the same origin story. It's just like the villain wants everyone to suffer as him, but the hero wants to avoid all the suffering that he's received at the moment.
It's how you choose to deal with it and live with it.
Correct.
That is so powerful. Thank you so much because, wow, your story and the person you are, I do admire you. And I'm very
Thank you,
thankful
Marie.
you decided to share your story with me and come on
Of
here
course.
to share your story with other people that may feel that way. And they're wondering, what is just one thing I can say to myself today that will help me get through today?
Mhm.
And I think that that's when it becomes harder. It's like when the days become longer and you don't know where to put yourself. So thank you, because I think that's why I created this, is to have this types of conversations and have people like you come on here and share their story. And that means a lot to me. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Marie, for the invitation. I think, and I will say again, you're doing amazing. Keep it going. And this is a safe space. And I really appreciate your time and your help to going through all this. It's the first time I tell my story in English. And yeah, no, thank you for giving me this opportunity. Next time is in Spanish. And I want to say thank you so much for the invitation. Thank you so much for giving me this window. And I hope whoever got to this point um, feel that they're not alone. And if they need any help, they can just go into the DMs or whatever. I know that you or me will read them and we'll try to help them as much as possible.
Definitely. So please, I'm completely new at this, but I have to do this. Where can people find you or reach to you or look for you?
Of course, no worries. You will learn a lot, so no worries. So on Instagram, at mira, se me explota el cerebro. Like, uh, on Instagram, I'm at Hecmotiv, HECMOTIV, and YouTube is at El Post Workout, which is the post workout basically. And my media company is Marcano.media, MARCANO.media.
Perfect. And I will have those linked in the show notes. Hector, thank you so much for sharing your story with me. And for everybody else, I will see you next week for another episode of The Bold Blueprint.
Thank you, Mary.
Thank you for listening to another episode of The Bold Blueprint. If you enjoy or connected with this episode, I would love for you to like, comment, and rate the show. If you thought of someone during this episode, follow your gut and share it with them. That's how we can reach the person that needs this conversation. I appreciate you taking the time to listen to the episode, and I will see you here next Monday.